Well, hello. Good morning for those of you on the West Coast, and good afternoon for those of you elsewhere, or evening, even, or maybe even early morning, depending on where you are. Thank you, everyone, for coming back in and joining me today for another live Q&A. I'm Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my YouTube channel is dedicated to those of you that are just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business, and I answer your questions. And doing these lives is a great way to address your questions now, right now. So you don't have to leave comments on my other videos. And even though you still can, I'll answer them if, once I can get to a place that I can answer questions. It's just so busy right now. Oh my gosh. Which is a good thing. It's a good problem to have. I'm not complaining. But if you ask your questions now, they will be answered now. So I try to do this just so you can move on, right? You can get your question answered and carry on with building your voiceover business or narrating, editing, formatting that audiobook, whatever you're in the middle of doing, that you just have a question that you just need answered right now. I'm here right now for that purpose. So I don't think I'm going to need my eyeballs, but I might just in case. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. It looks like we already have a couple of questions. Hello, hello, hello. I do have a poll, which I'm going to try to do every week that I'm live, because I'm interested in what you guys are doing or not doing. So I can maybe address some tips or maybe my advice on what to do, what not to do for that particular poll question. And today's poll is, do you market your voiceover services? I think apart from being on the websites that we're on, like Fiverr and Upwork and all of those that pay for all the marketing to get traffic to their site and in turn find us, I think it's also important, in addition to those, to do some marketing on your own. And there are a lot of different ways to do that. There's social media, which is just huge. And that includes all types of social media like, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. There's all kinds of different platforms that we can start conversations about what we do and how we can help our clients and how they can find us to get us to do hire us for their services, or for our services rather. I need more coffee. But and there's also email marketing and cold calling, which I've personally never done, but I think at some point in the future I might maybe look into email marketing. Although coming from my previous employer, I received a ton of, marketing emails from just random people trying to earn business, and none of them were really that captivating. Most of them went into my trash folder, unfortunately. Maybe it's because we already had vendors that, filled all of those positions, but I think for email marketing there needs to be there has to be something captivating about it to keep your attention and to take further action, right? And that secret sauce, I think, is what I need to find. And I'm actually doing like a mastermind for social media marketing later this week, which I'm really interested to find out what other people are doing and what's working and what's not working. So if any of you are watching that are in this mastermind, hi, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Excited to hear what everybody has to say. And then you could do, of course, all of them, social media marketing, email marketing, and cold calling. Although, as you guys all know, I'm such an introvert. I don't know if I could do cold calling. I would just freeze up. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's take a look at just one last time here. It looks like, so we got 64% of you. We got 11 votes. 64% of you say not yet, and 27% of you say yes through social media, And then 9% of you say that you do email or cold calling. That's interesting. I would be interested to know if it's working for you. I would assume that if you're doing it, it's working for you. But feel free to share with the rest of the class if you feel comfortable in doing so. I'd like to know how that's going for you and maybe what approach you're taking, because that would be interesting. All right, let's head over to the questions. And I am doing the buffer thing on my side, so I'm hoping you guys can see and hear me okay. Let's see. First question is from Tone Chasers. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining. He says, or they say, I'm not sorry if you're male or female. They say, hey, Angela, how many days on average does it take for you to complete a long form book narration? It really depends on how big the book is. I know that's not a really good answer, but being full time, I can dedicate more of my time to books on a daily basis than I did when I was employed. So I think, just to give you an example, I have a script that I'm doing right now for a promotional type of a thing, and it's just under 10,000 words. And I think I'm about halfway through it, maybe a little further than halfway through it. And so far, it's taken me about an hour and 20 minutes to do, including the mistakes and retakes. So with that, just over 2 hours to finish a 10,000 word script, which is, of course, 1 hour of finished audio. So depending on my workload and how big the book is, it could take a week, it could take a couple of months. Right now, I am on a razor thin edge of being overbooked for audiobooks. I have about 6 that I'm working on right now. So, and they vary in length, of course. There are 3 of them that are about 8,000 words or less. And then there's another one that's about 30,000. And there's another one that's about 80,000. And then there's another one that I'm just finishing up that was almost 100,000. So it really just depends on the length and my workload. So there really isn't an easy answer for that because it's going to vary. There's a lot of variables involved. But I would say to not rush it. If it's, 30,000 word book, 50,000 word book, and you need the time to get it done, then ask for 30 days. There's nothing wrong with that. I typically ask for 30 days if I can get it, just because that way I can kind of juggle everything else that I'm doing and not rush getting this audiobook done, because, it's important to do a good job. Next question was Taylin VA says, oh, hi. Oh, hi. LOL, that's funny. Thanks for joining us today. John B. Jenkins is here. Hello, hello. Answering Tone Chasers. I know I'm probably on the slower end, but I'm averaging about 1 finished hour in about a day if I'm at it 5-ish hours. That's especially if there are multiple character voices. Yes, anything with multiple character voices is probably going to take you a little bit more time because it's, you don't want to fry your voice. And especially if you have kind of over-the-top characters, you definitely don't want to push your voice too hard. Books with multiple characters probably will take a little bit longer than, say, a self-help book or something with no characters. So give yourself a little extra time on those, I would think. That's good advice. Jennifer Hodgson. Hi, Angela. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks for joining. Taylin VA says, sure wish I was more busy with VO. You'll get there. You just have to keep at it. I think most of what I have right now in my queue are repeat clients that I've worked with for a long time and that come back to me. Some of them are every month. Some of them are every few months. I've had one that came back after working with them for a year. So of course it's going to take time. Just like with any business, voiceover, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon for sure. The longer you go, and if you treat your clients well enough, making sure they get what they need, then they will definitely come back when they have a need for your particular voice. So just keep at it. It will continue to grow and multiply for sure. Just don't lose hope. JCCAOL is here. Hello, hello. It's late morning where I am, Midwest. Yeah, I think you guys are 2 or 3 hours ahead, I think. Jeffrey906 says, hi, Angela. Hello, Jeffrey. Thanks for joining us today. JCCAOL says, how many hours do you need to practice? And should you read the book out loud once from beginning to end before recording? You can. I would definitely suggest reading through the book first if you can. And then also do it if your author gives you a PDF or a Word doc format, which they should, hopefully, then as you read through it, you can mark it up and add places like notes for yourself, to add places to where to take a breath, where to pause. You can even highlight different character voices. You know, character A is a pink highlight, character B is a yellow highlight, so on and so on. So as you go through and narrate it, it'll be easier for you to remember who's who and what to who to transition to in terms of voices. So reading through it first, maybe not necessarily out loud, but you can if you want to. I would personally, I would reserve my voice for the audiobook itself, but definitely read through it if you can, or at least skim through it if time is not permitting you to read all the way through it. Because as I always say, you don't want to get through, 14 chapters of the book just to find out that your main character has had a Scottish accent all along. So you definitely want to get some idea of what you're doing, what the characters sound like, so on and so on. So definitely read through it first if you can. Tone Chaser says, what's the plan as far as workflow? Read the whole book, then edit, or edit chapters upon completion? I would say whatever works for you. The only thing that I would say to keep in mind is to keep the process from chapter to chapter to chapter the same. Personally, I, again, because I live in the desert, it's hot here in the summer, so the air conditioner's on most of the time. So when it's off, I narrate. When it's on, I edit. Some people like to read through the entire book, each file a new chapter, just get through the entire thing, and then go through and edit, and then format each file as they complete it. But it's really up to you, whatever works for your workflow, because you may not have to deal with, heaters and air conditioners and any other kind of noise where you need to kind of break up the workflow. But, do what's best for you and streamlining the process, but doing it the same every time in terms of process. Make sure that your effects that you add to your voice, like the noise reduction, your EQ, those are all the same from chapter to chapter to chapter. And then you're normalizing, of course, to -3 dB at the end. My stomach's growling. I hope you guys can't hear that. Oh my God. Sorry. But that is the most important thing. Whatever your workflow is, just make sure that you're processing your effects and your processing is the same for each chapter. So everything sounds the same. That's my best advice, I think, for that. You know what? Let's take a quick look at the poll really quick again. Okay, so we're up to 16 votes. Do you market your voiceover services? 75% of you say not yet. I'm wondering why that is. Is that really truly by choice, or do you feel that maybe you're not up to par yet? Or is it because you just don't know how or where to market your services? I'd like to know why that is. What's holding you back, I guess, is what I'm asking. And 19% of you say yes through social media. I think that is one of the best places to market yourself, because that's where all the eyeballs are right now. Yes through email or cold calling is 6% of you. I think that's interesting. Okay, well, and then 0 of you say yes, all of the above. Okay, so you guys are kind of choosing what works and sticking with it. There's nothing wrong with that either. Okay, let me find my place here where I left off. JCCAOL says, read the whole book, then read it again, record, and then edit, depending on the length. Yeah. Again, do what works best for you. Um, I don't know if I could read through the whole book first. I think in my mind it makes me feel less anxious if I can get most of it completed, like done, 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 like edited, formatted, done, and then keep moving forward. That way it kind of eases the anxiety of that ticking time clock in my head. But again, do what works best for you, your recording space, and your workflow. There's no like standard way to do it, just whatever works for you. Um, boop, boop, boop. JP Wright, voice actor, says, "Hi, Angela." Well, hello, JP. In your opinion, outside of Fiverr and Upwork, what is the best platform for character voiceover work? Wow, there is outside of gig marketplaces like Fiverr, Upwork, Guru, Freelancer, and all of those, people per hour. There are voices.com, Voice123, the voiceover specific websites where you can find like casting sites where you can find work. I think all of those I have seen, vidIQ, Voquent, VO Planet, they have all had character work on them. Um, I think for something very specific, if it's a specific kind of character type, you could even reach out to some of those production companies on LinkedIn through social media. I think if you did character work for a specific niche or niche, however you want to pronounce it, you could definitely probably corner a small market of social media sharing your character voices on social media and probably have companies reach out and find you. Just a thought, but something to definitely think about. Because, or if you have an agent, I always say I've never had a problem with agents. I don't have one right now. I might in the future, but I'm happy with just doing kind of things on my own right now. But having another source bringing you business is not a bad thing. But most of those websites, sorry, I'm getting a spam call right now, but most of those websites have character work on them. So I would say just take a look at some of those, voices.com, vidIQ, Voice123, Voquent, VO Planet, Voice Bunny, all of those have character work on them. And I think when you sign up for the free membership, I think you'll be able to at least look at the jobs being posted there. I don't think you can audition to them unless you're a member for some of them, but you can at least take a look at what's there, I think, for most of them. And then get an idea of what kind of jobs are being posted and then decide whether or not you want to sign up, I think is what my best advice for that. But I've personally done a lot of character work on Fiverr and Upwork, to tell you the truth. Briscoe VO says, when doing a book with many character voices, how do you keep track of what voice you gave each one? There's a couple ways to do that. I've had people tell me that they, like I was saying before, when you mark up the text that you're going to narrate and then highlight each character voice, you could even put in the footnotes or next to, like, add a text box and add which kind of voice you gave it. And I should probably back up and say that I, in my head, use like different character archetypes in my head, and I assign a voice to each one so I can immediately call on a character type voice. Like I have like Barbie voice, I have like lumberjack voice, I have surfer dude voice, that sort of thing. And that way you can easily call upon that voice. Or you can record yourself doing each one of the characters, saying maybe the same line or the same sentence or even something from the text itself in that character voice. And then if you have the ability with your DAW to mark, put a marker in there and rename that marker the character voice, so then you can pull up that audio file and listen to that character voice and go, oh, that's right. That was his voice and that's her voice. Or I also have a person that I work with that was an opera, and what she does is she actually writes down the character voice on a notepad, and then she describes what she's doing with her throat and her face to make that character voice. So Or you can make a separate file for each character voice and then just open that separate character file and remind yourself of what that character sounded like. There's a couple different ways to do it. I would say, again, what works best for you to really, grab a hold of that character voice and remember what it was. Whatever's best for you. Kathy Hart says hi. Hello. Jennifer Hodgson says, biggest challenge I have is knowing if I've met ACX submission requirements. I use GarageBand, not financially sound enough to work with Adobe. Oh my God, I had just seen, I think it was somebody in my Facebook group or Anthony's Facebook group of VO's Journey that had just said they figured out how to master ACX submission requirements using GarageBand. So it can be done. I just don't know personally how, because there's just too many darn variables for any DAW in order to specifically tell you what to do. Because if you think about it, everybody's recording space is different. Our voices are different. Our mics are different. All of our setups are different. So there's way too many variables to be able to say, I mean, believe me, if I could just say, do this, this, and this, my God, I would just solve the VO problem, right, with ACX, but I just can't. But, my gosh, where did I see that? I'm going to have to see if I can find out where that was, but it can be done. I would suggest maybe looking at some YouTube tutorials. There's got to be some out there that walk you through maybe what they did on GarageBand or with using GarageBand to get to ACX's requirements. But I really wish that I could just tell you, what to do step by step, because I know that would just be so much easier, but I just don't have that information, and I apologize. But it's got to be out there somewhere. Taylin VA says, I've had a few opportunities to read someone's book on Fiverr, but I keep chickening out and telling them I can't. It's so intimidating to do audiobooks. So relatable. So very relatable. You're not alone in that respect because it is intimidating. I think my first book, I was terrified. I was terrified of being able to do it on time, to being able to do the characters, to do the formatting. My God, I was just a complete wreck until it was done. But before I went on to ACX, I went on to LibriVox.org. That is where you can volunteer to read sections of audiobooks or audiobooks in their entirety. And those are all books in the public domain, so there's no copyright on them or anything. It's kind of like a free audiobook distribution site where they ask for people to volunteer to narrate sections of books or whole books. And through that, I learned how to format, to narrate, to learn how to pace myself, where to take breaths. It was a good trial run to make myself feel more confident before I started asking for payment to do this, right? I felt more like I could do this. I could do this because I just proved to myself that I could do it, right? So if you haven't done something like that through like LibriVox.org, and then there is another one that I just heard of and I can't remember anything. I'm going to have to write it down next time I hear it. But there's, oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue, but there's more than just LibriVox where they're asking for volunteers to narrate audiobooks. I would really recommend doing that if you're intimidated by audiobooks. But they can be fun. They are very educational. In terms of, I love personally doing like self-help books. So I learn a lot about everything and it's just so awesome. I really enjoy doing them. But I would say just give it a try. The next time someone contacts you on Fiverr and they say that they have a book that's maybe 20,000, 30,000 words or less, take it. Take it and try it. You might like it. But if you don't want to, go to LibriVox or someplace like that and donate your time first. That might help you with your confidence. It did for me. But so very relatable. Padrika Gray is here. Hello, hello. Hi, Angela. You once mentioned that NS1 plugin from Waves for noise reduction does not eat up the audio like the AU plugin. Are the other AU plugins, de-esser and mouth declicker, okay? Isotopes is costly. It is. Isotope, the isotope plugins are expensive, but what you get from those plugins is so very helpful, especially if you're doing voiceover or audiobooks, because it's an investment in your business. It's an investment into making yourself sound better and saving you time in the editing process. For example, the mouth declick in Isotope cut my editing time by like 80%, if not by just half. I mean, because I was manually going through and removing all of those, sticky mouth clicks that we have, I was manually doing that and it took so much time. But the mouth declick removed 90% of them, so it saved me so much time. And it has paid for itself over and over and over again in just time spent and then being able to move on to the next project. But in terms of your question with Adobe Audition, their effects, if you have the Creative Cloud version, they're being updated all the time. And their denoise is actually very, very good. If you don't have NS1 or anything from Isotopes, if you have no plugins at all, but you have Adobe Audition, their denoise is fabulous for removing noise because you can really zero in on what frequencies that you want to reduce and by how much. So that is very, very helpful. There is a declick in there that I have heard some people use for mouth clicks. And from my personal opinion, it does work, but not as well as the mouth declick from Isotope. Because I think in the Adobe Audition declick, it's more geared toward maybe audio repair, like pops and clicks that aren't supposed to be there in an audio file versus the more maybe sharper, softer mouth clicks of someone's voice. So long story short, I think they're looking for different kind of frequency of pops and clicks. But I have heard that it works. It works sufficient enough to get by, and then you might have to go through and remove anything that's left over after you use that effect. But I would say try it. I would say, my stomach's growling again. I would say record a sample and try them and see what they sound like. You can always undo, the effects if you have to. But give it a try. Give it a try and see if they work for you. Kathy Hart is here. Hello, Kathy. I'm not ready to market yet. Baby VO here. Yeah, I totally hear you. I didn't start marketing myself until just relatively recently, I think. But staying consistent on social media whenever you decide to jump into marketing yourself, whatever you decide to do, stay consistent. That is the key to social media, is consistency. Consistency is key. Being in their eyeballs once a day, at the very least, I would say once a week. But keep yourself top of mind. Show your personality through social media. That has helped for me, I believe. And offer maybe knowledge is the wrong word, but offer maybe insight or maybe some behind the scenes. Offer some glimpse of who you are to everybody on social media when you market yourself. Not just, hire me, hire me, hire me. You have to show who you are and maybe your sense of humor, maybe your hobbies. Show that you are a person. I think that's my ideology anyway on social media. I don't do enough myself, but I'll get there at some point, I think. But I get it. Being an introvert, I didn't want to, because that's just me. Tone Chaser says, not yet, because I started building my profiles. Yeah, and that in itself takes a while. It's very tedious setting up all the profiles, but you will get through it. You will get them done, and you will move past it and then start to see some business. And again, even after you build your profiles, it's not like, most of the time anyway, that I find that clients just don't automatically go, oh my God, they're here. I'm going to, order a bunch of orders from it. It just doesn't really work that way. It usually takes a couple of months before you start to see things happen. But those clients that you do get in the very beginning, make sure that you take care of them. Make sure that they rate you well, because all of those ratings and, glowing reviews, they help the algorithms for the sites that you're on to show you more often if you're making their clients happy. They're meaning, Fiverr, Upwork, Guru, those are their clients essentially. And it also helps you gain that social proof that every consumer needs. Because if you think about it, if you go to Amazon and you have two exactly the same products and they're the same price, same color, same everything, they're exactly the same, but one has a 5-star review and one has 0 reviews, which ones are you going to buy? It's the same thing with voiceover. On these gig marketplaces, our voice is a product. So they're buying a product. They want to make sure that it's a well-reviewed product if they're going to give us their money, right, to provide that product. So keep with it. Don't lose hope. Just keep plugging away. You'll get there. But when you are ready, I would definitely start marketing yourself. Matthias R. Hello, good morning. I got a question. What's your thoughts on how long should the duration of demos for my website and Fiverr be? My other question is, if starting, I need an agent to get more work. I would definitely say if you want to get an agent, get an agent. I think right off the bat, if you're starting from scratch, it might be a little early to get an agent. I think it's going to take probably some practice and getting used to how to master your voiceover sound and your deliveries. Self-critic. But I don't know if I would be comfortable sending my stuff out to, solicit an agent. I'm probably fine, but it's that doubt. It's that doubt that we all have of, am I good enough, to do that? But again, I'm happy with the way things are right now. I don't think I need one, but I would certainly say if and when you're ready, definitely reach out to some agents. In terms of the duration of demos, I think, honestly, the client's going to decide whether or not they're going to hire you within the first few seconds of listening to your demo. So whatever you decide to do for your demos, whatever your best work is, put that at the very beginning of your demo. I would say 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and even that might be excessive because I don't think anyone's even going to listen that long, to be honest. They might, but truly, I think they're going to decide whether or not that your voice fits their project within the first few seconds. So whatever you decide to do, maybe max 2 or 3 minutes. I think most of mine are like a minute and a half long at the most. But whatever you decide to do, your best stuff is at the very beginning. And no dead air at the beginning of your demo. Have your demo start within the first half second of your demo because you don't want to keep the client waiting, to hear something. They might just say, screw it, I'm going to move on because they don't want to wait because they have 10 other demos to listen to, right? So you want to make it as easy for your client to hear you and hire you right off the bat, if that makes sense. Happy birthday, Polly says, hello. Says, not yet, because I still need to record my commercial reel. Yeah, oh, what did I just do? Oh, there you are. Okay. I wouldn't allow something to hold you back. If you are ready to market yourself, I wouldn't say that you need to have this or do that or have that to hold yourself back from moving forward, because you don't necessarily, when you're marketing yourself, and I'm guessing that you're going the email marketing route to have something to show them. You could even give them samples of something else to listen to, because even your commercial voice could be the same as your e-learning voice, could be the same as your audiobook voice, could be the same as your IVR telephony voice. I would say just have something ready. It doesn't have to be professionally produced. It doesn't have to have music and sound effects. Those are nice, but ultimately they're hiring you for what you sound like. And then also a note on professionally produced demos. If you send a professionally produced demo to a client, they're going to expect that that is the way that you sound. And if you can't reproduce that professional sound, then your clients are not going to be happy. So unless you're at that point where you can produce that sound on your own, then I wouldn't do that. I would do your own demos to the best of your ability. And then at some point, maybe get a professional demo because you know that you can sound that way on your own, because not every order or project is going to be sent out to a professional audio engineer to be finished and mastered before you send it to your client. So just be sure that you can produce that sound on your own before you move forward with, making demos or sending out demos to showcase your voice. I hope that makes sense. But I would not let the fact that you don't have a commercial reel hold you back. I would just create something to send them so they can hear what you sound like and go for it. JP Wright, voice actor, says, great, thanks. You're welcome. Let's take just another hop over to the poll because I'm really interested in this one. Okay. 26 votes. 81% of you say not yet. 15% say yes through social media. And 4% of you said yes through email or cold calling, and none say all of the above. Okay. Interesting. And I lost my spot. Boop, 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 boop. Bobby Cat says, good morning, Angela. Good morning, Bobby. The reason that I'm not marketing yet is because I'm still working on getting set up on Fiverr. Oh, yeah, that takes a while. That definitely takes a while. I think for a while it was like the bane of my existence because it is just so tedious. But it's like that for every site. So if you can get through one, then you pretty much have a good idea of how to answer all the questions, what to upload, how to upload it on most of the other sites. So once you get through one, the rest of them are a lot easier, for sure. And Fiverr, I think, was one of the most difficult. Upwork's a little bit confusing, but they've revised the process a little bit to make it a little bit easier. But I think they've added some additional steps. But they're good steps because Upwork wants you to send them a copy of your ID, and then they do a video call with you to verify that you are who you say you are on the ID that you submitted. So that really reduces the number of shenanigans and scammers on Upwork. Although I would still mind your P's and Q's and, mind your spidey senses. If your spidey senses are tingling that it just doesn't feel right with this client, then don't work with them. But, I like the fact that they did that on Upwork. Talon VA says LibriVox. I have to check that out. Thank you. Yeah, it's is it? Yeah, it is spelled that way. LibriVox. No, it's LibriVox. It's LibriVox.org, I believe. LibriVox. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Shore Say Bow says it's called LibriVox. Yes. Thank you. Nate Ricks is here. Hello, hello. I love my isotope. I do too. I love them, especially the mouth declick. It's my favorite. And that was really the only plugin from them that I really wanted. And at the time when it was RX7, 2 versions ago when I bought it, the mouth declick was only available in that advanced package. So I had to bite the bullet and buy the advanced package. But at the time they were having some killer sale on it. So it was still an investment for sure, but it was a lot less than what it is right now, I think. So, but I've used it. I use it almost every single project that I deliver. So it's really paid for itself a few times. Let's see. The Simpleton Review says, I got to invest in that mouth declick. I'm telling you, if you have a sticky, noisy mouth, like I do, such a time saver. Oh my gosh. I've tried Waves, but it doesn't seem to work very well. I was trying to remember who I was watching on YouTube, but somebody had recommended the decrackle on Waves to remove mouth noise. Didn't work. Don't bother with it. There was nothing on Waves that I had seen so far to address mouth noise yet. I haven't been on Waves for a while, so I don't know if there's been anything new added, but to my knowledge, there isn't anything on Waves yet that is really great at addressing mouth noise. The iZotope mouth declick, not the declick, the mouth declick is everything for a voice actor. Nate Rick says the NS1 plugin, the NS1 plus iZotope gets, yes, me too, gets me jobs, he says. Yes. Same, brother. The Simpleton review says the NS1 is fabulous. Yes, it is. It's one of my favorite plugins. I would say the NS1 and the iZotope mouth declick, my two favorites, hands down. Matthias R says, excuse me. Question 1, how do I market myself in social media? 2, you use iZotope plugins. Which ones do you recommend? I think we touched on this a little bit earlier about marketing yourself in social media is just being present, just being there and staying consistent with your postings, showing a little bit of yourself, you as a person, and then once in a while saying, hey, guess what? I also do voiceovers. Or, hey, guess what? I also narrate audiobooks. How cool is that? And then maybe show yourself a little bit behind the scenes, maybe a little bit of a video snippet of you recording something on your mic. And it doesn't have to be an actual project. You can grab a book off your shelf and just read it, for a minute long, 30-second long video. And those short videos, side note, are huge. That's where all the eyeballs are right now, it seems. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, all of those little short bite-sized videos is what everybody seems to be watching right now. So even if you take a 20-second video of yourself doing something goofy in your studio or doing a fun character voice or reading an audiobook once in a while and then posting that, and then just showing a little bit of your personality on top of that, but staying consistent, because consistency with social media is absolutely key. That's the secret, consistency. And it doesn't matter if it's not that great or you're not that happy with it. Consistency over quality. And I think Gary Vee even says that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Gary Vee always says that. Consistency is king. It doesn't matter if it sucks or not, because you need to be consistent, because that is more important. And the other question, I just lost your question. Oh my God. Oh, the iZotope plugins. Yeah, the ones that I recommend. Well, the de-esser is pretty good. Although Adobe Audition, I don't know what DAW you use, but Adobe Audition has a great de-esser, but there is a de-esser in iZotope that works really well. The de-reverb, it works really well. Although if you go too wet or too heavy on it, it's definitely going to distort your voice, make it sound kind of tinny and weird. But if you edit audio for other people, or if you have a slight reverb in your studio, then I would suggest fixing that issue, address the root cause of that noise instead of using plugins to address that, because it'll end up distorting your voice if you have to add too many effects. But if you edit audio for other people, like me, I edit podcasts for people, and most of them have some sort of reverb because most of these people aren't recording in a studio. They're recording in their bedroom, or, you know what I mean? But the de-reverb is really, really good too for iZotope. But the mouth declick on iZotope is everything for a voice actor, because I don't care who you are, we all have a sticky mouth. All of our mouths make noise. I don't care how hydrated you are, if you just had a green apple, whatever. They all make noise. And the mouth declick is huge at saving you time, removing all of those distracting clicks in post. So those are the two I would recommend for sure. But if you had to choose one package based on one plugin, that would be the mouth declick for sure. Kirk is here. Hi, Kirk. Hello, darling. Chiming in with praise for NS1 and Isotope Mouth Declick. They save so much editing time. Yes. Amen, brother. Taylin VA says, what's a good way to show your positive reviews, such as from Fiverr, without coming across as boastful or arrogant? You know, I've taken some of my reviews and I've put them on social media because I think I understand what you're saying about it's really on that line of going like humble bragging. I guess you're not really humble, but you're just bragging, right? But sharing your successes and celebrating your successes, I think seeing what can be possible or how you are treated by your clients really helps other people kind of step outside of their comfort zone and give it a try. If not only that, but from the client's perspective, if they can see that you're doing really, really well and treating your clients so well that they write these stellar reviews for you, I don't think that's necessarily a bad look for you, in your client's eyes. But showing what can be possible and how people feel about work that you've done and sharing that with other people, maybe just getting started, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I'm on the edge though, because I hate being in the spotlight because says the person sitting in front of a ring light. But being an introvert, I don't like people making a big deal about me, right? But I think it helps. I think it helps in a couple of different ways. So you could use them in social media. You could put them on your website as like testimonials. But again, it's the same thing like social proof. Your clients want to see that you can make the clients happy and that people take the time to write a nice review about you. The social proof that you can deliver a good product in a good amount of time and the clients are super happy with it. I don't think that's a bad thing. Just don't overdo it, and post one every day or something. I think you'll be fine. Posting one once in a while, I think, is good. Nate Rick says mouth declick. Yes. Nate Rick says deep breath too. I could never get the deep breath to work for me consistently because our breaths differ. They sound different in terms of volume, frequency, and length. Setting that deep breath plugin to a particular breath and then applying it will only remove that exact frequency, tone, and length of breath. Maybe not length, but you know what I mean. It's not like a, set it and forget it kind of a plugin. It takes a lot of tweaking and massaging. And for me, I think from personal experience with that particular plugin, I just ended up going back to manually removing the breaths, the ones that were big and distracting. And again, it depends on what kind of project you're using it on. If it's for an audiobook, then just remove the big, gulping fish breaths. But the low natural ones I think are fine to leave in. But anything else, commercial reels, e-learning, IVR, anything else, the breaths need to come out. And I think it's much easier and faster to just remove them manually, But I could never get it to work really great for me. Nate Rick says, yep. Yep. I lost my place again. Oh, here we go. Kathy Hart says, do you have friends and family purchase from you to get you from 0 orders on Fiverr to something? If so, what do they order from you? I would be careful with that, but you can definitely, on Fiverr in particular, you can share your gigs pretty much anywhere. So there's a spot in, I think it's More, where you can share a particular gig, like it'll give you a little link to that particular gig. And then you can share that through email, through social media. You can market it however you want. But I would just, it's really hard to answer that question because everybody's gigs are so different. If you have somebody in your family or friends or someone that you know that runs a business and that is in need of a voiceover talent for maybe their voicemail services or, something of that nature, something easy and fast that almost every single business needs, that could be something that they purchase from you. But you can definitely share the link to that specific gig through, like, again, just that link. You can share it just about anywhere, but they encourage you to do that to market yourself and your specific gigs through Fiverr. So you could do that. Okay, we've been on for 50 minutes already? That's crazy. Nate Rick says first 10 seconds of what they listen to when they decide to purchase or to hire you in your demo. First 10 seconds, yeah. I would say it's about right. Anywhere from 3 to 10 seconds, I think, is all they need to hear. Nate Rick says, yep, so true. Blinds Low Happy says, Dear Angela, while recording in the studio, I sometimes hurt my voice louder scenes. Do you have any resources you recommend for learning how to be loud or dramatic with less strain on your voice? I would say if you have a scene where someone is shouting, you can definitely increase the sound of your voice without increasing the sound of your voice. Because depending on your mic and your recording space, I think even moving back from the mic a little bit when you speak louder will help it to not clip the audio or totally blow out the audio being too loud for your microphone. So when I do louder scenes, I will just increase the volume of my voice, or maybe what's the word I'm looking for? The force, without actually yelling, to give the impression that you are louder than you were before. How do I want to word this? I'm hoping that I'm making sense, but you can actually make it sound just by maybe increasing the volume of your voice, or talk through your teeth, or pull back from your microphone, because you definitely don't want to strain your voice, because that'll just put you out of commission for not just the rest of that project, but maybe the next couple days. Having hot tea with lemon, throat coat tea, some people have said whiskey, warm water with lemon. Having something warm, I think, personal experience, will really soothe the throat and help it, keep it from straining too much and then getting really gravelly at the end of the day. So there's a couple different ways to do that, but definitely not literally increasing the sound of your voice, but I guess you could do that. But if you did move back from your mic a bit, I guess in my head, I like have to know all the specifics, like what is your room set up, what mic are you using, all of that stuff. But just a general blanket response, try just increasing like the force that you're pushing out of the voice that you're using, instead of increasing the overall volume of your voice, and then maybe move back from your mic, or maybe move back from your mic. I hope that helps. My brain's going in 5 different directions trying to figure out a good answer. I know I'm not articulating a good answer for you, but I'm hoping that I'm saying enough that it makes sense. JCCAOL says, interesting coffee mug. Oh, yeah, I'm a big horror nut. I love Pennywise. I love horror movies. Stephen King's one of my favorites. I love Anne Rice. Oh my God, I'm a big horror nut. Yeah, I actually bought this during Halloween, I think, last year. Nate Rick says, you should do a video on using mouth declick. That's a good idea. Maybe I should. Yeah, I'm going to write that down because I will forget. So let's say mouth declick. Thank you for that suggestion. I think that's a great idea. Oops. Okay. Oh my goodness. Padrika Gray says, I'm definitely going to invest in isotopes. Mouth noise doesn't go away even when eating green apples. Yeah, I've never personally tried it, but some people say it works like magic. Some people don't. I think it's probably one of those things that's just different for everybody because we're not all the same. We're all a little bit different. We all have sticky bouts, but we're going to have different solutions that work for us. I think for me, it's hot tea, like throat coat tea, hot tea, and then Isotopes mouth declick works wonders for sure. Surin? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. I always forget how I said it the last time. Hi. What are your settings for isotope declick? That's a good question. I have it set for. Hang on, let me load up my Audition really quick and double check that for you. Boop, 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 boo. Let's just open something that I was working on. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my declick really quickly because I can't think of what it is. Hang on. It's, oh my gosh. I'm having of course, I'm rushing myself. Okay, so I have my sensitivity set to 4.0. The frequency skew is 0.0, or I could just show you guys, I suppose. Can I share my screen? Let's see. All right, so you should be able to see this, but I have my sensitivity set to 4.0, my frequency skew at, right in the middle, 0.0. And then the click widening, I have at 1.3. So that is where my mouth declick is currently set. All right, let me see if I can switch back to, maybe not. Let's see. Oh, did I even switch? I didn't even switch. Oh my God, I'm such a noob. Hold on, let me try that again. Okay, you should be able to see it now. Okay, sensitivity at 4.0, frequency skew at 0.0, and click widening at 1.3. That's where my settings are. So let me switch back now. There we go. Yay, technology. Oh my God. Okay. All right, we got to wrap this up here pretty quick because I don't want YouTube to cut me off. I don't know why that happened that one time. Briscoe VO says, always, always, always celebrate your successes. Amen, brother. I am a big supporter of celebrating every success. I don't care how small it is. I don't care if you finished your Fiverr profile. Celebrate that. I don't care if you got, God, I don't even know, however small it is, just celebrate it. You have to. You have to. I agree. Thank you for saying that. Blinds Low Happy says, yeah, you have to market yourself like crazy. You should not hold back because you can only be booked if people know you exist. Exactly. Right on the nose. Well said. Yeah, because no one knows you're there. If you don't say, hey, I'm here, and guess what? Guess what I can do for you? When you are marketing yourself, it's better to not make it about you, but what you can do for your client. Make it more client-centered. What can you offer them to help them with their business? Not so much at, hey, look at me, look how awesome I am, that sort of a thing. My stomach is really loud. I hope you guys didn't hear that. But I agree 100%. Sure Say Bow says, so what about people saying doing jobs on Fiverr, Upwork, etc. could get you on blacklists with big clients? That is what so-called longtime artists warn you about in a big Facebook VO community. I didn't know this was still going on. I think I have heard that before. I haven't found any issues with it. I know there are a lot of big-time clients on Fiverr that are hiring through Fiverr. So I don't know how much validity that statement has. I've never had an issue. I don't know anyone that had that happen to them being blacklisted. I think what it comes down to is the inability to accept change. I think is what it might be. I think times are a-changin'. I think with coronavirus and everybody being locked down and being at home, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people left their jobs. And with, commercial studios shutting down, there wasn't a whole lot of places for voiceover artists to go. And I know for a fact that a lot of these veteran VO artists, and veteran meaning, 10, 20, 30 plus years, are now discovering that they can do this from their own home studio, much like most of us that have been doing this for a little bit longer at home and are seeking out, ways to connect and to find the clients again and to massage their own audio. It's a new and exciting world that I think that we should all embrace and not try to cut each other down over what we do or don't do. I think whatever works for you to make an income for yourself and do what you enjoy. I think we should be supporting each other and not making threats about, what we do or don't like. But I don't know anybody that's actually had that happen to them, so I don't know how much validity that actually has. But I would just say you do you, boo. You do what you're most comfortable with. Matthias R. says, hey, Angela, I got a question about social media. So how do you handle to be consistent at the same time protect your privacy? Oh, that's a good question because, I don't like sharing specifics about myself, like exactly where I'm located or exactly like family names, stuff like that. I'm pretty reserved when it comes to sharing that stuff. I don't like sharing that stuff. But in terms of privacy, I don't know if that's what you're referring to, like stuff about yourself or about how do you not allow people to get into your accounts and find other links and stuff to other stuff that you're doing. Not sure exactly what you're referring to, but that I would say just protect yourself and don't share anything that doesn't need to be shared. You have a business email address. You have a website. That's all they need to know. They just need to know where to go. So if you are marketing yourself, you're giving them where to go and how you sound if you're doing videos and stuff like that, then that's all they need to know. I don't think they need to know much more than that. And that in itself, I think, would protect your privacy pretty well. I don't share my phone number. I don't share, just my email address really is all I really share. Oh boy. Jennifer Hodgson, I'm going to try to get through all the rest of these quickly here. When submitting an ACX audition, do you send multiple tracks per multiple paragraphs or do you all paragraphs in one track? The files are determined by chapter or section. I've come across some books that didn't have chapters, but they had separate sections. The trick is to not let the file exceed 2 hours. It can't be any longer than 2 hours. So if you have a book that's split up by different sections, actually, no. I've had to get creative in a couple of books, but I would say if there are chapters or definitive sections, I would split each one of those in a separate audio file. Now, if you're in one of those books that is kind of hazy, that maybe doesn't have like definitive separate sections, it can't go over 2 hours. So you would have to find some way to split that chapter up. But I've maybe run into that one time out of like, the 90 or so books that I've done. Most of them are separated by chapter or section, and each one of those is a separate file. I hope that makes sense. Nate Rick says, throat coat tea works well. Yes, it does. Although it tastes like black licorice, and I'm not a black licorice fan, don't hate me. Tone Chaser says intensity. Intensity of voice. Yes. Thank you. Ebony says, good afternoon. Well, hello. I am just tuning in. Thank you for your Q&A live. Could you address Jennifer Hodgson question again if possible? Thank you so much. There was a couple of them. I don't know which one that you were referring to, but you might have to watch the replay. I'm sorry. Unless you can tell me which one you were looking at, because she asked a few. Tone Chaser says velocity. Yes, intensity and velocity. Those are good words. Thank you for reminding me those words existed. Good Lord, I couldn't find them. Sleepy Soul 86 says, how does copyright work for YouTube content creators who read aloud kids' books? If you don't monetize those videos, can they still get a strike? If I was going to read something on YouTube, I would make sure there was no copyright on it. Even though I think authors would not be opposed to you, what's the word I'm looking for? Like marketing or advertising their book. But you do have to remember that those authors do have a copyright notice on most of their books that they cannot be reproduced in any way without their permission. So if you're going to use a book that is under copyright, reach out to the author. And if you're going to read this book through its entirety, reach out to that author and ask them if it's okay. But I typically go to Gutenberg.org and look up books in the public domain and use those if I'm going to read something on YouTube, an entire book. I wouldn't do anything that's under copyright without the author's permission. I wouldn't, because that's just me. But I would suggest doing the same. I wouldn't do that. So you may or may not get a strike, but I wouldn't take the chance. Talon VA says, my issue with getting loud is balancing the audio afterward without the regular speech being too quiet. Oh, yes, for sure. That is where a good compressor would come in, or a voice leveler, if your DAW has one of those. Those are both really good for kind of balancing out loud and quiet voices, if they're all in the same track. Or you could even manually adjust the volume too, like select the loud voices and turn them down just a little bit, but there's still enough intensity and velocity to make it sound loud when it really isn't literally loud, if that makes sense. Andy Moore says, tunes in 55 minutes late. Something to do with the showbiz life of cleaning the bathroom. Dude. Yeah, that is super, super awesome. I'll probably be doing that myself later, so I'm with you. Talon VA says, thanks for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience. You're so very welcome. I'm so very happy to be able to do this for you guys. For sure. I think I need more coffee. Blinds Low Happy says, about my question, I'm currently looking into metal screaming techniques and distortion to sound like I'm screaming. Trying to work on it with my singing coach, but he's not a rock metal guy. Wow, metal screaming techniques. That's actually a really interesting concept. If you can figure out how to do that, that would be really, really cool. But you might just have to just do it and then maybe try to adjust it in post. I don't know, because anytime you add an effect, it ends up distorting your voice or doing something to your voice. And sometimes I think having that much of an extreme end point to where you want to get with the sound, it might take a lot of effects and might end up doing more harm to your voice than good. So if you're trying to sound like you're screaming, like for like a metal band kind of a thing, then I would just do it and then try to adjust it in post, perhaps. But that's just me, Sure Say Bow says, rumors about blacklists might as well be set up by agents that feel their jobs are in danger of blight. I should probably finish that question for those of you that can't see it. Rumors about blacklists might as well be set up by agents that feel their jobs in danger by platforms like Fiverr. Absolutely agree. I think it's a change in time and perception. And I think some people don't want you to change what they are so accustomed to. But it's not necessarily us being like the new age of voiceover artist. It's everything around us that are requiring this change, especially in the last couple of years. We've kind of had to adapt and learn this new way of doing things that they are so familiar with doing another way and have been doing it that way for so long. But I haven't had anybody that I know. And I know a lot of voiceover artists, and I've never heard of anybody being blacklisted for being on Fiverr. Blind Slow Happy says, to be honest, especially with audiobook narration, you can just text the authors themselves now. Yes, nowadays. Yep. Most everybody is a lot more accessible and easier to contact these days than I think they've ever been with, cell phones. These things are always with you, attached to the hip. Matthias R. says the second one. The second one, what, darling? I'm sorry. Ebony says you answered it. It was about the ACX auditions. Oh, okay. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for asking and for clarifying. I didn't want to miss any questions. Tone Chaser says, yeah, don't fake metal scream. Study up on death metal singer technique. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I would just do the metal scream. You might have to have a specific kind of mic for that, or maybe turn the gain down on it, or try a few different positions and settings that maybe will allow you to scream without clipping or blowing out the audio like it's way too hot, I just try a few different techniques, because I know that you can do it. But that would just take, I think, a little bit of research, and you might be able to do that without doing anything to your voice in post. I would just try it. Blind Slow Happy says at Tone Chasers, yeah, I am working on using these metal techniques for voiceover. Oh, that's cool. Definitely keep us posted on that. That sounds cool. Tone Chaser says, thank you so much, Angela, for answering my oh-so-noob questions. We've all been noobs. We've all been a noob at some point or another. So don't, and that goes for all of you that are watching right now, don't ever feel like your question is stupid or dumb, or because we've all been there. If you don't ask, then someone else that may be wondering the same thing, that maybe is just a skosh shyer than you, if you ask that question, you can answer the question for not only yourself, but someone else that may be too timid to ask themselves. So please ask. I don't judge. I'm not a judge of anybody's starting point or where you are or what you've done, what you haven't done. I am not a judgmental person. If you have a question, ask it. That's what I'm here for. Ask it. I don't care how dumb you think it is. Ask your question. But anyway, we need to probably button this up, because I think we were on like an hour and 20 minutes the last time, and YouTube cut off the last 30 seconds of my live stream. So I don't want that to happen again. So I think we're going to have to wrap this up here in a second. Alice Farina says, well, hello. Don't forget to like it. Oh, thank you. Angela, thank you for your generosity. Yes, please. Alice said, don't forget to like. So make sure you hit that like button. I appreciate it. Thank you. Ian says, good, Miss Angela. Thank you for this Q&A. I am literally going to start my voiceover on Fiverr. Any advice, please? Thank you, ma'am. I think I have a pretty good selection of videos here on my channel in regards to Fiverr and setting up your gig, how to choose your pricing, thumbnails, videos. I think everything you need to set up your profile on Fiverr or set up a gig on Fiverr is pretty much here on my channel. So, and I should probably, now that I have a ton of videos on here, I should probably break them up into separate categories. So I'll have to do that at some point. So I'm sorry it's not easy to find, but if you look through some of my videos, there's a ton of Fiverr videos here that I think will address most of your questions in setting up your profile on Fiverr. Blind Slow Happy says, yeah, totally. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to answer our questioning. Thank you. I appreciate you appreciating me. Thank you so much. It's amazing how much just a simple thank you does, But I think it's important. It's important to be available and to be what I needed in the beginning. Someone just to ask dumb questions to. So that's what I'm here for. I'm kind of paying it forward, just sharing what I know. I'm not saying I'm any kind of professional or veteran or anything like that, but I do have some experience with getting started, and I've had, experience success so far, being full-time for 2 years now. So I just share what I know and hope that you guys can apply something to your own business or techniques or ideology, something that will help you move forward. Matthias R says about the privacy protection of personal life. Oh, just don't share it, because whatever you put on the internet stays on the internet. So just be conscientious of what you're putting on the internet. Share fun stuff about yourself, but you don't have to share too much. Just show like your sense of humor, maybe some hobbies you enjoy. Go out on a hike and take them along, and just talk about the day, the sunshine, the rain, the snow, whatever it is. Just show who you are, but without giving specifics, I think is good. Kirk says, you rock. You rock, brother. You rock. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. You are amazing, Kirk. I love you dearly. I think this is probably a good point to kind of button it up. I don't see any more questions at the moment. So I'm going to say thank you, everyone, for joining me today and for asking the questions. I really appreciate you guys stopping by. And again, I'm probably going to do this every week now because I think it's fun. It's rewarding for me to help, and it seems like it's helping. So that's fabulous. Oh, hang on really quick. Let me check the poll. Ooh, 2% of you said you do all the above. That's fabulous. You guys have got to share your secrets. Okay, 84% of you said not yet. 9% said yes through social media. 5% said yes through email or cold calling. And 2% of you said yes, all of the above. That is amazing. But 84% of you say not yet. So please consider all the things that I mentioned in here about social media. Take it to heart, take something out of it, and apply it to your own marketing plan for marketing yourself when and if you're ready. Okay, so I'm going to end this poll so it'll be posted to the video. And I think, oh, wait a minute. We just had another question come through real quick. Ian says, Miss Angela, thank you for answering my query. Any advice on me using speech low and not my voice yet? Will it work? You mean instead of your voiceover? I would definitely not do that. Speech low. That is the AI voice software, right? If that is what you're saying, I would definitely not do that because that is... No, I would not do that at all. Nate Rick says, you're a pro in my book. Oh, stop it. I'm not, but I appreciate that. It's very nice. Okay, I'm going to go. All right, you guys, I will see you all next week. Thank you so much for stopping by and asking your questions. And